trying to get a clear picture of a specific business environment, it can feel like, putting together a puzzle where the pieces keep changing.
Definitely.
And right now, we're really zooming in on Thailand, specifically looking ahead to 2025. We've been digging into this report. It's called Thailand's Business Landscape in 2025, Foreign Investors' Outlook.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make sense of it all for you.
Exactly. And what we've done is pull out the really crucial bits, the insights, the opportunities, and of course, the challenges.
Yeah.
Things anyone interested in where Thailand's economy is heading needs to understand.
Yeah.
Our aim here is to give you a clear view, especially from a foreign investor's perspective, without just drowning you in data.
Because it's not a simple story, is it? What this report shows isn't just, straightforward good news or bad news.
No, not at all.
It's this interesting mix of real potential alongside some pretty significant economic hurdles. So let's dive in. The report kicks off looking at Thailand's economic growth projections and highlights some key industries. What's your first take on that part?
Well, what jumps out immediately is that slight dip in projected GDP growth. It was forecast at 2.5% for 2024, but now it's looking more like 2.4% for 2025.
Okay, just a slight dip.
Yeah, it's small, but the report suggests it's down to a mix of things, pressure from the global economy, and also some structural challenges within Thailand itself.
Right.
There's a good reminder, really, that even when a market seems pretty stable, global stuff and internal factors can still, make a difference.
A bit of a cooling off then. But, okay, the report does flag 5 sectors that are still expected to grow. Let's run through them. First is health and wellness. That covers food, drinks, medical services. Feels like a safe bet globally, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And for Thailand, it's even more significant because of this big demographic shift happening. You've got a rapidly aging population.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, people are generally much more focused on preventative health, on overall well-being. So it's not just about treating sickness. It really opens doors for things like personalized nutrition, fitness tech, even wellness-focused tourism.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, next up, sustainable and low-carbon businesses. This feels like less of a trend now and more, fundamental.
Precisely. It's a core shift. People want eco-friendly products. There's a big push for renewable energy investment. These aren't just nice-to-haves anymore. They're becoming central to business strategy, to where the investment's going. We could see growth in, say, sustainable packaging, green building, that sort of thing.
Okay. Third on the list is tourism and hospitality, but with a specific angle. Wellness and experience-based travel. Post-pandemic influence there, I guess.
Yes, definitely a recovery factor, but it's also an evolution, isn't it? Travelers seem to be looking for more now, experiences that focus on mental, physical health, unique cultural stuff, mindful exploration. That creates space for niche players, boutique hotels, wellness retreats, specialized tours.
Interesting. Okay, number 4, children's products and services. Now that one might make some people pause.
It might seem counterintuitive with aging populations, but think about it this way. Families might be smaller, but there's often a tendency to invest more per child.
Oh, okay.
More on education, well-being, higher quality goods. So you see growth in things like specialized educational toys, premium childcare, maybe even tech for learning.
That puts a different spin on it.
Oh.
And the last one is green tech and carbon neutral businesses. This sounds pretty linked to the sustainable sector we just mentioned.
It is very closely linked, but the emphasis here is more on the actual technology and the innovation driving that green shift.
Right, the how.
Exactly. You've got government incentives pushing this, plus the whole ESG focus, environmental, social, governance driving demand for sustainable solutions, and the tech behind them.
So, yeah, a clear move towards sustainability, health, experiences, but the report doesn't shy away from the trickier areas. It flags some sectors facing challenges. Fashion and luxury goods is first. What's the main problem there?
The big issue seems to be intense competition, particularly from lower-cost imports flooding the market. So if you're in that space, you really need a strong differentiator, maybe unique design, ethical sourcing, or maybe super personalized service, something to stand out.
Okay. Real estate is also mentioned as facing headwinds, especially urban property, oversupply, and demographics. Can you unpack that?
Sure. It sounds like in some cities, there might just be too much of certain types of property built up. And at the same time, demographic changes, maybe younger people delaying buying or wanting different kinds of places to live. I mean, demand isn't keeping up in the traditional urban market. Might see shifts towards different housing types or niche areas.
And then internal combustion vehicle dealers. No surprise there, really, with EVs on the rise globally.
Exactly. It's direct disruption. Electric vehicle adoption is just chipping away at the market for petrol and diesel cars.
So dealers need to adapt.
Definitely. If they aren't bringing in EVs, setting up charging, exploring services like battery maintenance, well, their customer base is likely to shrink.
Makes sense. And lastly, carbon-intensive businesses. Seems like the writing's on the wall unless they change course significantly.
It does. As Thailand and the world move towards carbon reduction goals, businesses stuck in old, high-emission ways face a real risk. Stricter rules, changing consumer tastes. It's a tough spot if you don't adapt.
So the industry picture is definitely one of transformation. A big shift towards green, health experiences, while some traditional areas face decline. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. What about government policies and those bigger global economic trends? How are they playing into this?
Right. The report highlights several key government actions. First off, there are specific incentives for foreign investment.
Oh, like what?
Tax breaks, mostly, aimed squarely at attracting money into areas like advanced tech, renewable energy, smart manufacturing. It clearly shows where the government wants to see growth.
Okay, steering investment. What else?
There's the 10,000 baht digital wallet program that's aimed at boosting domestic spending.
Ah, the stimulus.
Yeah. I mean, there's debate about the long-term impact, but the immediate goal is just to get people spending more money locally. It does raise questions about how much that helps foreign-owned businesses specifically, but it's a factor.
A short-term injection, maybe.
Yeah.
And fitting with the industry trends, you mentioned sustainability and green regulations.
Yes, absolutely. The government's getting stricter on carbon emissions and, at the same time, offering incentives for businesses that go green. It just underlines how central sustainability is becoming to operating successfully in Thailand now.
Okay, so the government's definitely trying to shape things, but Thailand doesn't exist in a vacuum. What global economic stuff is making waves?
Well, the U.S.-China trade relationship is a big one. Always is. Any potential changes to U.S. import taxes on goods from Asia could slow down Thai exports.
Right, those ripple effects.
That shows how linked everything is.
Are there any positive global trends benefiting Thailand?
Yes, definitely. That whole restructuring of global supply chains we've been seeing.
Diversification away from China.
Exactly. Companies are looking to spread their manufacturing footprint, and Thailand is actually attracting increased investment in its manufacturing sector because of that. That's a significant opportunity.
Yeah, a chance to gain ground there. What about the financial side globally?
Interest rate volatility is a factor. High global rates make borrowing more expensive for Thai businesses.
Affects investment plans.
It can, yeah. It potentially slows things down.
Yeah.
Businesses need to watch those financial conditions closely.
So a real mix, globally supply chain opportunities, but risks from trade friction and interest rates. Now, the report also digs into specific challenges businesses face in 2025. Let's start with that economic slowdown and how it hits consumers. We mentioned the slight GDP dip, but what does that mean for household budgets?
Well, a critical point is the high level of household debt in Thailand. It's quite significant.
Right.
And that debt load really limits how much people can actually spend, especially on things that aren't essential. Even if there's a temporary boost from something like the digital wallet, that underlying constraint is still there. Suggests businesses might need to really focus on value for money.
So don't bank on a huge spending spree. Okay, what's another major challenge?
Increasing competition, both domestically and, crucially, from imports. The report specifically calls out intense pressure from lower-cost Chinese imports.
Price wars?
Potentially, yeah. It forces local businesses to cut prices, which eats into profits. It's especially tough if your product isn't clearly different or better in some way.
Sounds like having a unique value proposition is more important than ever. Okay, challenge number 3. The aging population and the labor market shifts. This feels like a really fundamental change.
It really is. Thailand's heading towards being a super ageist society pretty quickly. That means a big chunk of the population, maybe 20% soon, will be over 60.
Wow. And the effects?
Several big ones. Rising healthcare costs, obviously. Fewer people in the workforce as more retire ages. And, conversely, growing demand for services for the elderly. Plus, a bigger push towards automation to fill labor gaps.
A massive societal shift. Okay, the final challenge mentioned is environmental issues and the costs of going green. It ties into sustainability, but from the angle of difficulty.
Exactly. Climate change, climate volatility, it's already hitting key sectors like farming and tourism.
Unpredictable weather.
Yeah. And then you've got stricter global rules on carbon, like the EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM. That means higher costs for exporters and potentially losing access to markets if you don't meet sustainability standards.
So businesses are juggling quite a lot. Slower growth, more competition, a changing workforce, and rising environmental demands. Sounds like success requires a really smart strategy. What are the key recommendations for foreign businesses trying to navigate this?
Well, the report really emphasizes investing in two main areas, digital and green.
Okay.
So putting money into things like smart manufacturing, AI, sustainable energy, that leverages the government incentives we talked about and gives a competitive edge.
Right, aligning with policy.
And specifically, getting supply chains to be carbon neutral. That's becoming almost essential for exporting to certain markets.
Makes sense. How about adapting to the aging population?
Businesses really need to think about tailoring what they offer, developing more health-focused products, making services elderly-friendly, even integrating tech like telemedicine or remote healthcare to make things more accessible.
And reaching consumers. In this digital era, what's the advice?
Go hard on e-commerce and social commerce.
Mm.
Use the platforms people are actually online. TikTok Shopper mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe using conversational AI for customer service. The idea is to rely less on traditional brick-and-mortar stores.
A strong digital footprint is key then. And lastly, given all the global uncertainty, what about supply chains?
Building resilience is the message there. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Diversify sourcing away from just China, for example.
Right, spread the risk.
And also make smart use of Thailand's existing free trade agreements that can help manage import-to-export costs and logistics.
It really paints a picture of needing to be adaptable, sustainable, digitally savvy, and tuned into those local demographic changes.
Mm.
Looking a bit further out, beyond 2025, what's the report's longer-term vibe?
Despite the immediate hurdles, the long-term outlook for Thailand is still seen as pretty positive if businesses can adapt.
Okay.
Technology and automation are expected to be huge growth drivers. But the flip side is businesses that don't digitize risk just falling behind, becoming obsolete.
And the wider economy. Any predictions?
The Thai baht is likely to stay volatile, which means ongoing challenges for import-to-export businesses. Managing currency risk remains important.
Right.
But on the upside, sustainability is really seen as shaping the future market leaders. Companies that are proactive on green policies are expected to outperform.
So those big themes, digitalization, green business, the aging economy, they aren't going away. They're basically setting the stage for future opportunities for foreign investors who are ready for them.
Exactly. The landscape's always changing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But for those who can navigate these shifts strategically, Thailand still holds significant long-term potential.
Okay, so wrapping this up, our deep dive into Thailand's 2025 business scene shows, well, a complex picture. You've got clear growth potential in areas like health, wellness, sustainable business, digital commerce, but that's set against these economic headwinds, the big demographic shift with the aging population, and rising environmental pressures.
Mm-hmm.
For foreign investors looking to succeed, the key takeaways seem pretty clear. Really embrace digital transformation, make sustainability a core part of everything, and get a deep understanding of what Thailand's aging consumers need and want.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for you to consider. Looking ahead, say over the next decade, how will that interplay the push and pull between global trade rules and Thailand's specific demographic changes? How will that uniquely reshape different industries there? What unexpected opportunities or maybe unforeseen challenges might pop up from that mix?